check this property.
Right.
As the letters come in, I automatically send them to Scott, but he'll work out with the Open Space Committee.
Right.
Who wants to take on that responsibility.
Is that it? Really? Have I forgotten anything? Administrators report? Attorneys report? Engineers report?
I think this was talked about at the last meeting, but the state joint project with Tewksbury and Clinton that came through, so each town is getting money for that, for public town money. So we'll be doing that. Williams Pipeline, they started work on Old York Road, more under that road last week. And the flooding on Route 22 westbound, an update from DOT is they're expecting to get the notice to proceed this month. To get that work started, that they've been telling me that. We'll see where it actually starts working out there.
Okay. Reports. Tom Mariana, Rec Police Library.
The Recreation Committee is honoring their volunteers tonight.
Without you?
Casa Bianca, without us. Other than that,
John Broughton, Engineering, Roads, Maintenance and Recycling, Finance.
Yeah, a couple of things on the road department. I think we talked a little bit with respect to Foothill. The DPW crew has been out and about throughout the township, kind of trying to get things back in shape for over the winter. There's a number of potholes and partial cuts even that Scott and team are working on, so you'll see a lot of the township equipment around doing work on the road kind of took a little hit this winter, so they're diligently working on that, and also trying to get all the fields in shape, the various equipment installed, etc. With respect to Transco, I'll just comment that last week I did a ride-along with one of their folks to most of the pipeline throughout the length of it, for the most part, and a couple of observations that I think I was satisfied with, to be frank. And I know there's probably some folks in the audience that are impacted by the pipeline, but I was very impressed with how they are managing the relationships with the property owners. It seemed like I observed while I was in the truck with the fellow. He was actually troubleshooting and correcting some issues real time that he'd received some calls. He stopped and talked to the homeowners, etc. So I think that was encouraging. I've been out, begun talking with some of the homeowners that are affected, and kind of received the same reaction. In that one fella that I talked with just today had said he wasn't here for the first pipeline, he was here for the second, and this one, he said, has been almost a non-event. He said it's been so transparent and easy, so I felt a little comfortable with that. So I think it sounds like Transco is doing quite a good job. And I believe you'll see most of the clearing has been done. There's still some trees that haven't been removed on the, I guess it would be the west end, but they're pretty much leveling they have to level the entire route before they actually begin digging. So you'll see a lot of dozer traffic moving dirt to get it level so they can get the machines in to dig and lay the pipe. But also for anybody that's interested, and Madam Mayor, we might, I just discovered this, there's a 2-week progress report that Transco files with FERC. Maybe we could put a link on our website.
Sure.
It's not terribly detailed, but it kind of gives a high-level view of their progress.
Okay.
And that's all.
Okay, I would, this sounds really voyeuristic, but I had the privilege, or whatever you want to call it, of being taken on a tour through Clinton Township and watching these machines move, these machines that I can only in my mind, they're like Tyrannosaurus Rex. I mean, they're just immense. And they move these incredible pipes. And while there's an element of, for lack of a better word, rape going through the landscape, it is fascinating to watch. And if it's any comfort to anybody, they put Clinton Township back together again pretty well. But it's fascinating to watch. I mean, it's scary that things this big move. Anyway, Liz, how's your front yard, or back here, front yard?
Got it. Significantly.
Yeah, it'll get better. All right, any reports? Planning board, farmland, open space, board of health?
I don't know.
Okay. Betty, report, planning, zoning, sewer advisory, HISPRES, museums, social services, code enforcement. I don't have anything on any of that, but I did want to tell you that I attended a meeting with other Hunterdon County mayors, sponsored by Janice Kovach, who is mayor of Clinton Town, and John Higgins, who is mayor of Clinton Township, to discuss the new affordable housing numbers and all of that. And there is a move to put a group together to, if not oppose, at least work with. Again, Readington is in a much better position. There's only one other town in Hunterdon County that received what's called third round substantive certification, which means the plan was approved. COA was so disjointed that several towns submitted their completed plans and they never even got approval, they just sat there. So we were lucky, and it will put us in a stronger position going forward dealing with these issues, but it's still a lot. And it's going to be just, another one of those things on our plate, but I'm confident we have done very well all along. We have found lots of creative ways to find housing. The numbers that we were shown by that were recommended by the Fair Share Housing Corporation or something are so astronomical that they will not prevail. In Clinton Town, it would basically, the number they were given would involve close to doubling their housing units in the town. I mean, it's just, there's no place. I mean, unless we're putting skyscrapers of low and moderate housing, it's not going to happen. But again, it's going to go on for a while, but we're working, and I really like the idea of working with a regional group, which gives us a little bit more clout and lots of creative ideas, one of which was, let's just not do anything. But we're going to keep this discussion going, and we'll keep you informed where we are. If you have to turn your basement into a low, moderate, no, I'm kidding. Anyway, we're watching it, so that's all I have. Sam Trapello, leads fire companies, rescue squads, school crossing, municipal court.
Nothing, but I'm very happy the rescue squad got the money for their truck, and I thank the committee for appropriating the funds.
Okay, and now what you've all been waiting for, the comments from the public. Mark, if you'd like to speak. Mark, you want to start?
Yeah, thanks. My name is Mark Rosenberg, longtime resident of Readington Township. And I just wanted to talk with the committee a little bit about the decision that came out today by the Superior Court of the State of New Jersey in the eminent domain action. In that 54-page decision, the court said what I have tried to say many times to the committee over the years, and which many others like me have said many times. That is that the eminent domain litigation was brought in bad faith. It was pretextual, and the court has in fact struck down the eminent domain litigation and ordered Readington to pay Solberg's legal fees and expenses going back to 2001, which would be millions of dollars. The millions of dollars spent on this frivolous litigation and on the interest on the $22 million bonds that was taken out to finance the acquisition could more than pay for Wayne and Tom's foothill road problems and many other problems in this township. I'd like to just mention a few parts of the court's decision. By the way, I have extra copies of the decision if there's anybody in the audience here that hasn't read it yet and would like to see it. On page 1, the court concludes that the condemnation plan implemented by the Township of Readington was orchestrated to prevent airport expansion under the pretextual banner of open space policy amounting to a manifest abuse of the power of eminent domain. Moreover, the resulting lack of transparency in the township's action subverted the political process and weakened private property rights protection. The verified complaint was therefore brought in bad faith and is accordingly dismissed. On page 31 of the court's decision, referring to the testimony of the various township committee people that were involved in instituting the litigation, including Mr. Oriana, the court found that the testimony revealed a studied attempt to obfuscate the true purpose of the condemners in the instant taking. The court finds this testimony as a whole to be unforthright, evasive, untrustworthy, argumentative, lacking credibility, and therefore unworthy of belief. Moreover, the resulting lack of transparency in governmental actions of Readington Township has subverted an open political process, thus weakening the protection of all in its citizens' private property rights, including the Solberg family. And in probably the worst condemnation of the township's actions in this whole opinion, there's a footnote that states the township committee members involved in bringing the eminent domain proceeding evidenced both a shared cynical attitude toward the electorate and an imprudent lack of public candor concerning the overall costs of the first-time use of eminent domain, which offends the conscience of this court. I hope that this decision will be a wake-up call to this committee. I hope we're done wasting millions of dollars that can be put to much better use. And I'm hoping that now's the time that the committee steps back and really tries to resolve this issue with the Solbergs in a way that is going to be satisfactory to all parties. With all due respect, that has not been done today. I remember quite well then Mayor Shammy refusing even to engage in mediation because he said he wasn't going to let a mediator dictate what Readington was going to do. And of course, the mediator doesn't do that. The mediator just tries to bring the parties together. I'm frankly, in reading this decision, ashamed to be a citizen of a town whose officials would conduct themselves in this reprehensible manner.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wish to speak? Mr. Herzog.
Thank you. Jeff Herzog, Chief of White House Rescue. On behalf of the White House Rescue Squad, I want to thank each individual committee person for their support tonight for the ordinance for the rescue vehicle. This means a lot to the township, and it's going to serve us for another at least 20 years, and it's definitely a benefit for our residents. So thank you very much.
Take good care of it.
We'll actually preserve it.
I want to ride.
You got it.
All right, any other comments from the public? No, you can't have one.
Hello, Tim Apgar, Chief of the White House Fire Department. I have two items I want to discuss. One, I want to clarify a comment that was made at the last meeting in regards to the emergency services. We, the fire companies, rejecting an insurance proposal that was on it. October of 2013, there was an email from Mrs. Fenninger addressed to, from her to Jack, if you recall the conversation at all. Three items on that, and to clarify the word rejection. One is the deductibles was the key thing. The insurance companies that we use now, DFIS, it's $500 deductibles on equipment, personal equipment, and so forth. And then there's a $500 deductible, whereas theirs was $1,000. We have to carry a liquor liability. We have halls that we use for rental purposes, and if anyone wants to rent it, we also have to have that type of insurance in the event that they bring alcohol into the building for their function. Okay, does that help clarify?
How much would you have saved if you went to or how much would it have cost?
How much it was roughly, our way is roughly just under $3,000 more on that.
Your latest, I'm sorry.
The insurance company we're currently using, it's about $3,000. I think the number's like $2,700 more a year. But that's for our department. I'm not sure what it would be for the other three.
So what would be an increase for you to,
What's that?
if it's costing you more?
Because of the deductibles. If the deductibles, it depends on what happens and when, and if we have to lay out the money for the deductible, it's going to cost us.
How many times have you laid that money out?
How many times? I can get that for you. I don't have that. But we had an incident with a fire truck that we had to pay deductible and lost equipment, like pagers, helmets, stuff that gets lost, falling off the truck, whatever, for whatever reason. So that.
Would the town want to cover you with liquor?
No, that would not cover us. And that's
So you have to carry that,
a different liability.
yeah.
Correct. That wasn't.
Well, that's something we can always look at and put numbers together to see, you know. I don't think rejected was, you chose not to use it. I think if that's a better way of phrasing it for you.
Yes. Okay. Secondly, I'm not sure if it was discussed earlier prior to me coming in, talked about getting numbers for a consultant. Was that discussed tonight at all?
We didn't discuss it tonight, no.
Did we get those numbers yet at all for a consultant?
I'm just getting ballpark numbers. I haven't gotten
And
actual.
do you have an idea what the ballpark, is it?
I hadn't discussed it in.
Okay. Point being is, would the committee consider working with the chiefs of the departments, of the 5 agencies, and see what we can do to work together in trying to resolve what you all think is maybe too much equipment or what we think is not enough equipment, and so forth? Is this something the committee would consider before we go out spending this money for whatever the reason is, and maybe we can sit down at a table and come up with a plan?
Is it just for equipment?
What's that?
Is it just for equipment?
Just for equipment, I think it would be an overhaul. Structures of the departments, what department, what they think their needs are, and what the committee may have a plan for, or would like to see.
I love the idea of sitting down and talking with you guys, but I just feel like I don't have the expertise to know, to evaluate, to evaluate whether something's needed or not with respect to rescue equipment. If one has it, one doesn't, one next door has it. I think that's what we were looking for, a consultant to look at the overall picture and make a recommendation. But if there's some other way we can do it,
Okay.
we're open to it. It's just,
Mind you, too, that maybe when Vita's speaking with these people, that get some ideas, because there's still things on the Harry Carter report that could have been done, but that committee from 97 on, we did move forward with it. It could go either way. It could be a costly situation. It's going to cost the town a lot of money. So that's the questions that I'm sure Vita could ask that.
I've been working with you and the fire company for many years now, and we've broached these topics in the past. I'm quite familiar with the issues with emergency services. I would like to have a first attempt at working with you.
I think I'm willing to do that too.
That would be the committee's decision. I would this. I believe you were with us for 8 years on this, so but there's and Sam being here too as a liaison. But I think overall we can come up with something. It's not something that you want to hear. The numbers that you get, it's back, aren't substantial, and the town wants to move forward, so be it. But I just think we can work.
The consultant we were probably looking at is the same one that did that report. It isn't cheap, and he's probably going to do the same thing he did before, so I think that would be a good basis to start on. And then what we need is some very good definitions from you as to exactly why. Some good rationale, I think some good rationale. And if we could work together to do that, then maybe we could make a presentation to the rest of the committee and see how they feel.
And I believe the emergency services has to come up with a plan as well, not speaking for the ones that aren't here, but speaking out loudly. We have to, there's a lot of things we want. We have to put the wants aside and look at the needs. And that's what I believe the other chiefs would agree to. I'm not speaking for them, but we will speak to them next week. The wants opposed to the needs. And moving forward.
Have you run this idea by the other chiefs?
No, I haven't. Not until next Monday, the emergency service meeting, but I will. And I think Jeff and I have spoke about it, correct? And I believe we can move forward with this, so we're not costing taxpayers money.
Thank you.
Fair enough?
Thank you.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you all.
Come back and let us know what they say.
Okay.
All right, great. Mr. Baldwin?
Good evening, thank you. Don Baldwin, Readington Township. Before I make some comments tonight, I just wanted to ask a question, if I may. It's a question I posed in January at the reorganization meeting. And that is when the township might resume posting the information on the website, which was promised 9 years ago by the then mayor and committee. And I never really got a definitive answer, Mayor.
I don't know. I mean, honest answer, I'm not sure what you want posted.
It's not what I want to post it, it's what was represented to the
Okay.
citizens.
All right, tell me what
Well,
your
specifically,
understanding is of you.
There used to be a section of the website, township website, which provided updated information on the Solberg case, which is the 800-pound gorilla in Readington, right? And people were able to go there and get that information. And when the first summary judgment was in favor of Readington, that was posted right out there. But as soon as the decision went against Readington, there was no more information posted. And I was just wondering why and when it might resume, because people want to know about this stuff.
Okay. In all honesty, I'm not sure people go to the Readington website to get hot news, but we can discuss it as a committee and see what would like to be posted up there. I'll take that up.
I see. Do we know why it was discontinued? Who the webmaster is, or who manages the websites?
Nobody here. Yeah, I mean, it would have been at the direction of the committee. Were you here 9 years ago? Really? Okay.
Maybe Mr. Ariema can enlighten us?
If I can remember back then.
Can't remember, okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it was just that it was up there for a long time and then taken down and then nothing new put up after it went on. I mean, there are long gaps of time between all of these things too. So
Well,
I don't know.
the suspension of that information coincided with adverse decisions to the township.
Okay, that's a human reaction.
Coincidence, maybe, maybe not.
Yeah. Well,
I'll specifically ask, will the decision that was handed down today by Judge Armstrong, might that be posted on the website?
committee decision. I mean, I don't know.
I don't see, quite frankly, the reason why it shouldn't. It's public information.
Yeah,
And it's,
I mean-
that was the township's business to it.
Okay. We can work on putting something together, throwing it up there.
I was out of town on business today, but I heard about the decision. I have not had an opportunity to look at it in detail as Mr. Rosenberg has. And I'm not as learned or eloquent as Mr. Rosenberg, but I would like to make some comments that might echo some of his. I did hear enough, the gist of Judge Armstrong's decision, that brought to mind some huge coincidences for me, some of which Mr. Rosenberg touched upon. For example, some of us in this room for the last 14 years have said that it looked like the eminent domain attack on that property was a misuse and abuse, even a subversion of the eminent domain statute. What a coincidence. Judge Armstrong said the same thing. Some of us in this room also, myself included, have said there's transparency. There's been historically transparency issues in Readington. In fact, I had to litigate to get satisfaction on that matter. What a coincidence. Judge Armstrong made those same observations. Another thing, there's been problems with integrity and promises that were made that could not be kept. For example, the not to exceed purchase that was characterized by the $22 million bond, followed by a declaration of taking, which exposed us to pay far more than that, not including soft costs, which we all know are in the millions. What a coincidence. The judge also made that observation. And there was another thing he said that Mark touched upon. He found that it was absolutely a pretextual taking, and that eminent domain action was initiated in order to show cause on a pretense. And for people who are not familiar with that legal term, that's another term for a lie. The township filed that action based on a false pretense. And that's what a coincidence. That's what the judge said. Another thing was that the propaganda campaign, and I'm going back 9 years ago, I remember, well, Mr. Ariema, you were on the committee at that time. This committee appropriated over $100,000 to wage a propaganda campaign against its own citizens, paid for by its own citizens. What a coincidence. That's what the judge concluded in his decision today. A lot of coincidences here. The fact is that Mr. Rosenberg's right. I think this is a time we are at a junction and a crossroads when you five folks need to take stock of what's going on in that case. This has cost us millions and millions of dollars, and according to this decision, we're now exposed to millions of dollars more. And there's another suit waiting behind this one against the Township Committee. I would specifically ask, since Mr. Trapello and Mr. Broughton neither advised that action, and certainly they weren't here to vote on that action. But Mrs. Fort and Mrs. Duffy, you've been on the committee during, your tenure has been during the time that this was advised, recommended, and appropriated. And Mr. Ariema, you actually voted to appropriate this horrible financial tragedy that we now are facing. And I don't know if you read the decision, but Mr. Rosenberg has an extra copy. I think you should read it, because it looks like a real breach of responsibility for public officials at that time. And it's a painful thing, a shameful thing, and it's far from over at this point, with the possible exposure we have as taxpayers. It's shameful, and it should never have happened this way. There's got to be a solution that doesn't take us down the black hole path that we've been led for 14 years. First in 2001, then in 2006. And I'm damn sick of my money being wasted. Thank you.
Are there any other comments from the public?
Christina Albrecht, my neighbor. I did not read the document of Thursday. I read the news. I heard Mr. Rosenberg's comments. I heard Mr. Baldwin's comments. However, I have full confidence in this committee, each member of this committee, and all the members in this town, that somehow we can come together. We can work together. We can talk together. We can shake each other's hands. And we can figure out a solution.
Thank you.
And I would much prefer that we don't go back, we don't finger point, and we don't blame each other and look back on history, that we need to work together. Because in this town, we're all equal and we should be.
Thank you, Christina. Who's that?
Paula Baldwin, 14 Morningstar Road, Readington. I wanted to bring to your attention one of the footnotes that the judge put on the page 57 of his decision. I would like to read it to you. He was talking about the development rights and appointing commissioners to decide the value. The necessity for a final resolution of this arduous and protracted matter cries out for closure. The citizens of Readington Township and the Solberg family deserve no less from its state judiciary. However, nothing in this court's decision would preclude the parties from reaching a just accord concerning the development rights by employing the time-honored process of willing seller, willing buyer, and agreed-upon price. So with that said, I hope that we won't be spending yet more money in legal fees so that we can pave the road and get the emergency equipment that we need. This has been a black hole for many, many years. Mr. Oriema, you were part of that decision. It was a waste of money for how many years? Last year, how much did we spend in legal fees? Almost $1 million. I hope that now you will truly reach out to the family and engage in good faith, meaningful negotiations before you embark on another legal folly. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Mr. Keefe?
Thank you, Mayor. I've been coming to the...
You want to identify yourself?
Oh, Bill Keefe, I'm sorry, I'm also
I
a
know.
Readington Township resident. You mentioned the 5-year grace period, you still talk to people. I've been coming since 1988.
You win.
I have studied every single budget. I have read every single audit report. I have a very perverse interest in municipal finance. I had zero anxiety over that level, and I mean zero. Okay. Municipalities are a different animal in terms of the ability to take on debt. Unlike individuals, when you have a mortgage, you have a husband and a wife that join together, have to pay down the debt. We have 16,000 taxpayers to service the debt. The state doesn't allow you to go into excess levels of debt. We are well underneath it. In fact, Readington cannot destabilize Hunterdon County from a debt perspective. Hunterdon County can't destabilize the state of New Jersey, and the state of New Jersey cannot destabilize the United States. It's just the way it is structured. Okay. The fact that my tax rate is not up 2 cents, do I genuflect in front of you? Maybe I'm surprised that's it. After years of no increase, the legal bills, when you have valuable assets, you must defend them. It's not just in municipal finance, it's in business. Okay, that's the way the world works. If you didn't have the assets, you wouldn't have the debt. Do we have the highest level of debt in the county? Of course. We also have the highest level of assets supporting that debt. Okay. I have 25 years of experience in banking, as a CFO, and as a treasurer. I've dealt with municipalities across the state. Okay. We have a AA debt rating for a reason, because of proper financial stewardship over the township. And I congratulate you for that. I will debate anybody on municipal finance in terms of strength of Readington Township on my own dollar and gratis. Anybody.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Paula Baldwin, Morningstar Road. I just wanted to set the record straight that Mr. Keith said that He's actually giving the entire committee credit for our tax rate, where in fact, the county has been stable. The regional school has gone down, and the local school, I believe, has either gone down or been stable. The municipal portion of our taxes has gone up considerably. I believe when I moved here in '95, it was around 29 cents per hundred, and now it's 51 cents per hundred. So I would ask you to keep an eye on the finances. Thank you.
The regional school budget has not gone down, by the way. I thought it had, we all thought it had, or we thought Readington's portion of it had. That was an error on the part of the BA at the high school, but we're working on it. We're doing what we can.
Mark Rosenberg again. If I may, I just wanted to address the comments about the amount of debt. The amount of debt Readington has is a serious matter. I'm not one of those who pays that average amount we had there. My taxes, as Julie Allen and Frank Gaddy publicized in their circulars during their campaign, is over $30,000. I'm not farmland assessed. I'm regular assessed on 2 acres and pay over $30,000. That debt is serious. The fact that we still have a AA rating simply means that the bond rating agencies understand that Readington's populace is wealthy enough to afford to pay back the debt. That's all bond rating is. Can you afford to pay back the debt? Yeah, we can afford it, but who wants to do that? With respect to the notion that he's in support of litigation in order to protect our assets, the eminent domain litigation wasn't to protect our asset. It was to try to take away unlawfully the asset of Silver Airport.
Are there any other comments from the public? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Comments from...
I'm sorry. Yeah, sure. I'm sorry. I always skip that.
Let me just, on a little lighter note.
Yes, sir.
I noticed we had a couple of Eagle Scouts recognized here tonight, and that's marvelous, and I appreciate their work, and this is definitely right to recognize. I also had the opportunity to attend from the Flemington Exchange Club last week for a luncheon, and they select each year 2 students, high school students from Hunterdon County, for an award that then goes to a competition that can go to the national level. And one of their winners or selectees for this year was a White House Station senior, Sarah Workington. So I just wanted to mention that and offer my congratulations. I think she's not here tonight, but if anybody knows Sarah, please reach out and tell her congratulations on her selection.
You know, I have a funny story to tell. First of all, Readington is so blessed to have an amazing number of Eagle Scouts. We seem to keep fledging them at an amazing rate. I have 3 courts of honor to go to in the next couple of weeks of Readington kids. But the first one I went to, I have to tell you, you should probably all have left already, but I went to this, and it's so impressive, and Senator Lance and Assemblywoman Donna Simon and, you know, all of these people and their parents and their whatever, all of these boys are good looking and responsible and all of that. We go downstairs to the reception and they're popping the helium balloons, sniffing the helium and sounding like Mickey Mouse. It was like, what happened to these boys? But nevertheless, we are very fortunate to have really a super group of kids, and I love what the Eagle Scouts have done, and in all kinds of ways. I mean, on the trails, we just have one at Stickney who's just put up bluebird boxes, and we're already seeing bluebirds, and it's just great. They do the one that I went to, the kid did a digital mapping of Rural Hill Cemetery over on an old highway, showing where all the families and all the graves are, and you can get it online so you can find Aunt Gertrude or whoever you're looking for. But they come up with imaginative and creative and positive projects. And I thank you for bringing it to everybody's attention, but we're very lucky and I'm proud of them all. So now can we go home? Do I have a motion? Anybody else? Sam, do you have anything? Liz? Anybody, can we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Thank you all for coming.